Hey again, YouTube. We're here to make a build guide, and I love just messing around with different builds, but this one is going to be the Boltcaster, right? So it's a new bow artifact that just came out and converts all its damage to lightning. It's pretty fun to play around with, and yeah, let's dive right into the build. If you like this content, make sure to like and subscribe too. All right, so I'm gonna go over some of the build, specifically the gear that I'm wearing, the attributes that I run, as well as the weapon masteries. I'm currently using the greatsword, so but feel free to use whatever sidearm you want. Really, you compare a lot of different ones like hatchet, spear, all that with the boltcaster, and still have it be pretty good. All right, so first off, let's start with our gear, right? So I am running featherweight, which means I can run a heavy helmet and one other piece like gloves or boots or something like that, right? So here's my helmet. Um, Thrust conditioning is really good here because you're mostly going to be fighting other bows, unless they're, boltcasters as well. Enchanted ward health, killer helmet, you can craft this, I think. Featherweight, that's the new light chestwear artifact, and just throw health on that. Drop these gloves from that new Glacial Tarn dungeon. They're pretty much this as far as I'm concerned, except for the gear score, but elemental aversion is amazing. Slash conditioning, S tier perk as well, and then health, also an S tier perk. Legs, I'm just reusing this from like another one of my builds, but I really like them because, Relentless Freedom is really good for running Greatsword, gets you out of a lot of stuff. Thrust conditioning, really good because you're fighting a lot of bows, and health. And then finally, some Azoth Crystal shoes. I don't really have much better light feet or footwear here, but enchanted word refreshing slash conditioning can't go wrong there. No health, but I got health on all the rest of my gear, so I can get away with that. Boltcaster, the thing you guys all came here for, right? So these are the perks that are on it. You can see the main artifact perk is Electrified, right? Converts 99% of its damage to lightning for basic attacks, and increased lightning damage for both weapons, right? I think a key here is to note that it says 20% damage for both weapons, right? Which is huge. So first perk is Bolt, builds up a stack of static charge, right? The third or the fourth attack will do some additional lightning damage. Shrinking Lightning, Enchanted, and then the perk that I put on there was Keenly Jagged, right? I have seen some other people putting stuff like Vorpal for the just like, massive single target hit damage, right? Trying to get headshots and stuff like that. But I think Keenly Jagged is probably a pretty safe bet as far as just consistent damage. And here is my greatsword, right? So I dropped this from the new Glacial Tarn dungeon. Something you're looking for here, right? One, probably don't want strength because you're not going to have too much strength attributes. So try and find one with dex or magnify or something like that, right? You really want trenchant strikes is really good, right? Heavy attack still more damage, right? Because you're always heavy attacking with your greatsword. Keen, pretty good, and then keenly jagged, right? Just leaning more into the bleed stuff. But I think the most important part here is to note that I'm converting half of its damage to lightning, and that allows me to take advantage of the Boltcaster's 20% damage increase, right, to lightning. So really, I'm hitting for more with my lightning damage with my greatsword swings than I am my slash damage, right? So whatever weapon you're running in your offhand, experiment around with converting it to lightning damage so you can take advantage of the Boltcaster's Electrified perk. Amulet. This is a classic divine health and then protection of your choice, right? I'm going for thrust protection here. Something else I also mess around with using is my Ankh, right? So I got the extra healing there, and if I need slash protection, right, I've got it on there. Ring. I rolled this from the kiln, so I can craft this from there, or just try and get lucky, drop it from somewhere else. But you're looking for stuff like Hardy. That's an absolute must here, and probably Keen Awareness. The leeching, not so critical, but definitely nice to have a little bit of lifesteal. Earring. I think my main two perks that I like on this are Refreshing. I like to pick that up in my earring nowadays, and Nimble. The stamina regen, really helpful for just constantly dodging, right? Which is what this build is really good at. I mean, got shrinking lightning right on the bow, so you're just pretty much constantly dodging, trying to recharge your stamina back up and get back in there. All right. Next, we're going to be looking at our attributes, right? So first off, you're going to be like, strength, what the hell? But check this out. I mean, like 10% heavy attack damage and some light attack damage, right? Not the worst thing to pick up in the world, especially for those greatsword attacks. Dex, got about 300, and you know, it's nothing crazy, but as far as magnify goes, I kind of needed that. An important one to get to is intelligence, right? Because I want the elemental damage, right? So light and heavy elemental attacks, pretty sure that counts for Boltcaster, right? Elemental damage here, also going to increase your light damage on Boltcaster, so that's kind of helping scale some of your elemental damage there. And con, you know, I've got 100 con. You could totally squeeze for 150, right? Maybe if you dropped your back down to 100 or something like that, right? If you want a little bit more health, but I'm rocking 100 con for this. All right, let's go through the abilities that you want on your Boltcaster. So I will say at the time of this recording, my favorite perk or ability, right, is Rain of Arrows, but it's bugged, right? After you dodge, you can't do it or whatever. So I may run this on this build, but for now, these are the abilities that I'm running. Poison Shot, just great for more dots, right? And it's a real quick cast. Evade Shot, that's going to help you get out of the sticky situations. Also has a stun on it, which is pretty nice, right? Staggers and pushes them back. As far as some of my other like perks here, these are kind of up to you, but I'm going for these, right? I think the two ones that I really care about the most, right, is Mark. You know, if they've got a debuff, you're dealing 10% more damage, and what are you doing? You're constantly making them bleed, right, with your Keenly Dragon and stuff, so really good. And then Evasive Tactics, way better than Concussion. You know, Concussion may be only good for PvE or something like that, but as far as PvP is concerned, Evasive Tactics is the way to go, and for PvE, honestly. And then we got Pen Shot, right? Definitely really good for PvE and racking up the penetrating AoE. And then heavy attacks, right? So I like to get this aim true, which means heavy attacks fly faster and deal 10% more damage. This opening strike, you know, yet again, heavy attacks gonna deal more damage. Arrow range, you know, distance that arrows can go before they're affected by gravity. And bullseye. You could go this Hawkeye if you really want to hit some headshots, but yeah, honestly, I like grabbing these perks over here just for that long range heavy attack sniping that I love to do with the Boltcaster. All right, let's go into the greatsword, right? So the greatsword, pretty much heavy offensive tree, right? Going for crosscut, relentless rush, and skyward slash. That's pretty much because I'm not doing much defiance stances or like blocking or anything like that. This is a pure just offense. You're all over them, and yeah, relentless rush is going to be good for closing the gap, getting out of stuff with that freedom. Crosscut, that's your main damage, and then skyward slash, little stagger and some more damage, and then you know, you're really just looking for these passives that give you more heavy attack damage, a little bit of haste. The energized one, I really do like this one, right? Gives you some health regen and stamina regen after landing a crit, which you're pretty much constantly critting. Crit chance against people with a debuff, right? You're always making them bleed, that makes sense. Step and strike after dodging, you know, 10% in power. Pretty good when you're constantly rolling because you're in light and you're dodging everyone's attacks, so. And then on the Defiance tree, you know, we're not picking up any skills here, but there are a couple of perks or whatever that you can get, right? So if you're hit while full health, get a Fortify. Base damage is increased by 3% for each buff on you. And then charge heavy attacks have grit and then inflict bleeding. The main benefit of this, honestly, is just getting a little bit of grit and some additional bleed. Arrow deflection, you can kind of, you know, additionally block some range attacks. So reduces the stamina you're taking for that. Kind of good when you're fighting more rangers. All right, that's it. And probably play some clips of some PvE and PvP on this build. Something that's worth noting on the hard counter for the Boltcaster, right? Are you getting wrecked by Boltcasters? Throw on one of these, right? Find yourself a amulet that has lightning protection. Throw another lightning gem in it. Right now you've got like 20% lightning protection just in an amulet. So if you find yourself getting wrecked, and magnify is incredibly helpful too because it just kind of fits into any build. But like, yeah, I'd throw this on if I feel like I'm getting too much pressure from people. You can see we freaking absolutely melt the heavy tanks because they probably don't have a whole lot of elemental resist, and our Wraith Sword is converted to half lightning damage. Pretty awesome to play around with. Nice. True, Jesus Christ, that was amazing right there.